The urban water system keeps the polders of Rotterdam stable and dry. It is a robust network that consists of surface water outlets, canals, lakes, and waterways, which drain in and out, and a sewer system of over 2,500 kilometers of tubes and more than 1,000 pumps, whereby rain and wastewater are discharged into the River Meuse after first being treated in the sewer treatment plants. It is an ingenious but rather inflexible system. During extreme rainfall, its vulnerability becomes apparent. Peak downpours are already causing disruption and damage as water floods the streets. Cellars become inundated, and sewer overflow discharges directly into the canals and waterways. Not only is this dirty and unhygienic, but it also creates foul odors and kills fish.
What we see in the Netherlands, especially in the coastal areas, is there's going to be an increase of days with heavy rain showers. And that's not going to be just a problem in the future, but it's already nowadays a problem. Let me just show you. This is actually square meter, and a days with 15 millimeters of rain, so that's 15 liters. It's about this, which falls on this square, is going to increase per day. It's not that big of a problem yet for the cities to deal with, but it does get more of a problem when it rains in a short amount of time, for instance in 1 hour, 50 millimeters. And how much would that be? Is actually, you add all these nice barrels. So these amounts of rainwater and in these kinds of intensities, they really stress the city water system and they result into problems. Well, we're in Rotterdam North, the northern side of Rotterdam actually, and this is a typically 19th century area of the city, which has a lot of pavement, a lot of built-up houses, and it contains almost no green area and no water, so it's all more or less paved. So when it really rains really hard, we can't drain away all of the rainwater, and actually it collects on the streets, and if the intensity even increases then, the water level could raise a little bit more and could actually flow into the houses. Actually in this street where we're now, the houses are a little bit built up a little bit higher than the street level, so the streets could actually flood up quite far. But for instance, the shop over there, which is actually the entrance is at level of the street. So what would happen is actually that the rainwater would just flow from the street straight into the shop. Well, it's typically a problem for big cities. Actually, if you look at the city center, which is built up even more densely, and there is even more pressure on the public domain, the problem even increases. Yeah, we've looked at the whole city, and what we see is that especially in areas where there is not enough amount of surface water, so not enough amount of storage, those areas are actually vulnerable for flooding and for damage. And if you see also in other parts, it's also the low-lying areas like rail infrastructure or underpaths of highways or other streets like tunnels, these kinds of things, they're actually vulnerable to flooding as well. Also, where we're looking at the entrance of the subway system, we really have to look at that they don't flood from the streets. What you see is that the city of Rotterdam it really evolves every day. So we're redoing streets, we're redoing big areas where we're putting in new housing blocks for areas, but also for complete city districts. And what you really have to do is, when you're changing and working on the city, you have to adapt right then. So you have to take the opportunities which are available then. So that's why we have to really act and start acting right now. One of the things is the most important thing is that you have to have your system in order. So the discharge has to be able to discharge the amount of rainwater coming at you. We need enough storage. But if you're looking at these heavy rain showers, that's actually not going to be enough. We really need to look at the urban environment. And where we're here this is the Water Square Bentham Plein. And it's actually a great example of an innovative solutions for urban water and actually also increasing the interest in public space, so making nice public space. And what we're doing here is actually we're collecting the rainwater from the vicinity, from the roofs, from the streets, and it flows through these gullies, and it then enters right into this deepened part of the square, and this is where we're holding it and then giving it back to the system. Because actually what we're doing here is also we're not pumping the water away, so after it stops raining and the basins are filled, we're actually letting it drain back into the groundwater, so we're actually refilling the groundwater system itself. We've seen the water square, we've seen some green roofs as examples, but also we have this big underground storage facility where we can store a lot of rainwater, so these big scale solutions. But these big scale solutions are actually not enough. So we really should look at the more smaller scale solutions which we can incorporate in the whole of the city. For instance, blue roofs, so that's where we collect the rainwater on the roof and then slowly drain away, but also bioswales, where the water from not even that far, but just from the surrounding area drains into this green area and then drains into the underground. Or even pervious pavement, where just the water just flows through the pavement into the underground, which in those cases we really release the tension on the sewer system. But what you see is that actually the city of Rotterdam and also the water boards are doing a lot. And they can actually do a lot. But what we really need is actually the citizens, but also the housing companies and the companies which are in Rotterdam to really start working on small-scale solutions themselves. So, for instance, their gardens. Don't pave your whole garden, but green your garden. Keep the rainwater in your garden instead of letting it flow straight into the sewer system. Especially these small-scale solutions, are solutions which can be incorporated by the people of Rotterdam themselves.